This story begins by showing a small baby waking up in a very luxurious room. In front of him is his mother, who is undeniably beautiful. Confused, he wonders where he is. When he stretches his tiny arms and notices how small he is, he starts questioning what is happening to him. To be honest, he even complains about how useless his little body feels. Soon, he opens his status window and sees that he is once again at level 1, and on top of that, he does not even have a name. Yes, he does not even have an identity. Clearly, the heavens must hate him. At that moment, an elderly man wearing armor appears. His mother addresses him as Your Majesty. Our protagonist assumes that this old man must be the Emperor. Then another man steps forward and asks what the newborn's name will be. The Emperor declares that he shall be called Noah Ararat, the 13th Imperial Prince. When the baby opens his status again, he sees that his name has finally appeared. The Emperor then adds that from this day onward, Noah will be the Lord of Armelia, the land of the water houses. This title also appears in his status as a fixed value. The Emperor orders a cleric to display the child's power, and a massive panel appears before them. It reveals that Noah has an extremely high affinity with water. Everyone is stunned. This means that his powers have already awakened. The nobles and the emperor celebrate joyfully, declaring that a talent without precedent has been born, as his water affinity is ranked SS. We are then told about the Mayas Empire, a nation of warriors whose capital was built on a vast plain surrounded by towering mountain ranges. In this empire, in the Golden City, where wealth continuously breeds more wealth, a culture of dazzling luxury has flourished. The emperor's more than 10 biological children were all given the title of imperial princes. They were nobles of immense prestige, admired and revered by the people. Time passes and Noah is now 6 years old. Upon waking, he is dressed by his maids while maintaining a serious expression. He explains that after a long time living in this reincarnated life, he realized that people see different statistics than the ones he sees. The values he sees represent the power granted to him by those beneath him. For example, part of his water affinity comes from his lordship over Armelia, which he received at birth, while the rest comes from his subordinates, his maids. In other words, the more subordinates he has, the stronger he becomes. As for his level, it seems that his power can grow without limits. After getting dressed, he sits down for breakfast, surrounded by his maids. At that moment, Evely, a maid assigned specifically to serve him, appears and informs him that his older brothers, the Crown Prince and the Fourth Prince, have arrived. Hearing this, Noah understands that he cannot keep them waiting, so he leaves his meal and goes to greet them. Yes, despite being so young, Noah is remarkably sharp. He kneels before them, and we are introduced to the Crown Prince, Albert Ararat, age 29, and beside him stands Henry Ararat, the fourth prince, age 21. Both praise Noah for being so well-mannered. Albert says that he has brought Noah a gift. With 2 claps, he orders his servant to bring in a large box. The servant clearly struggles to carry it, and a sinister aura leaks from the container, causing visible suffering to the man holding it. When the box is opened, Noah is deeply disturbed. He sees visions of countless people begging for their lives. Albert orders him to take it. With no choice, since Albert is the crown prince, Noah obeys and slowly reaches out his hand. When he grabs the sword inside, he manages to lift it, but the weight nearly makes him drop it. Albert explains that the sword is called Leviathan, the most powerful water magic sword in the Empire. He adds that 120 people died in the process of subduing it. Upon hearing this, Noah nearly drops the sword. Henry quickly reassures him, saying that if Noah were unable to wield it, he would have died the moment he touched it. Albert further explains that according to rumors, ordinary people suffer greatly just by holding the box, something they witnessed moments ago. However, Noah can wield it because his water affinity is ranked SS. As Albert walks past him, he thanks Noah for showing him something so interesting. After his brothers leave, Noah wonders if that worthless crown prince was testing him. However, given his current position, he decides to remain silent, knowing that even confronting him could lead to his death. At the entrance, Henry asks Albert if it was really appropriate to leave such a valuable object with Noah. Albert replies that he would rather entrust it to someone with talent. He adds that this is precisely why Noah should live, since he sees him more as a pet dog that might one day bite its master's hand. This comment leaves Henry confused. After all, that despicable prince had just called the young Noah a dog. That night, Noah walks through the mansion's halls alongside Ho. Noticing how downcast she looks, he asks what is wrong. She confesses that she is considering resigning. A few days ago, her village was struck by a flood that destroyed her family's fields. Her mother lives alone, and now she has lost her livelihood as well. For that reason, some relatives suggested that her mother go work at a brothel and take advantage of her reputation as a servant of a prince. After hearing enough, Noah tells her that from now on, her mother will work at the mansion, managing the back area, and her salary will be 10 rines per month. Soy is confused, as she has never heard of such a position before, and she was also hoping for a salary higher than average. Noah then clarifies that this is not all. He informs her that there is also a house available for her mother on the western outskirts of the capital. Seeing how her lord helped her without hesitation, Soy thanks him through tears. However, in Noah's mind, there is only one thought. It is unacceptable for one of his servants to work in a brothel, as it would stain his name as a prince. At that moment, Dylan, his butler, appears. Noah explains what happened and orders him to buy as much land as possible. Otherwise, vultures will surely try to take advantage of ruined families like Soy's Dylan. Is surprised by Noah's ability to anticipate events despite his young age, but Noah thinks to himself that he has seen this happen countless times in his previous life. Dylan then asks about the funds they will use, estimating that they will need at least 700,000 rines. Hearing such a huge number, Noah is surprised at first, but then realizes it is normal. The average annual salary of a man in the capital is only 120 rines, while his own income as a prince is 8,000 rines. When adding the tributes from Armelia, gifts from his father, and other sources, he reaches 500,000 rines. Knowing this, Noah orders Dylan to sell the lands south of the capital. The butler asks him to reconsider, as those lands were a gift from His Majesty, and selling them without permission would be considered high treason. Noah replies that he does not care and is willing to receive punishment from his father. He states that, as a noble, it is his duty to sacrifice himself and act for the well-being of the people, because silent sacrifice is a privilege of the nobility. With that, Noah takes his leave. Dylan asks him to wait, and after bowing deeply, thanks him. At that moment, Noah remembers that Dylan's hometown was also in that area. The next day, Zoe and Noah are overseeing the transport supplies to the village. Suddenly, Henry appears. Noah and the maids greet him properly. His older brother asks if he is going somewhere. Noah explains that he plans to buy land in Doso, where the floods occurred, and inspect it. Noticing the crates, Henry sees the sword among them and asks if Noah plans to use it. In a more private place, Noah replies that he does not. Although he senses power within it, it has not reacted since then, so he is only bringing it just in case. He then asks Henry the reason for his visit. Henry explains that Albert said something strange about the sword, so he ordered an investigation. They discovered that the sword appears to have a will of its own and is said to obey only the one it recognizes as its master. He then warns Noah that if he is going to take it with him, he must not use it, or he will die. After their conversation, Noah heads to the village. Upon arriving, he sees everything in ruins. He immediately orders Dylan to go to the registry office. The butler, not understanding at first, asks what he means. Noah explains that, given the destruction, many land ownership documents were likely lost, so the land must be purchased according to the official records. Hearing this, both adults are astonished by his sharp insight. Noah adds that if any problems arise, he will take responsibility. After sending Dylan away, Noah blends in among the victims. He observes that all the crops have been completely destroyed and concludes that there will be losses for an entire year. Soon, a group from the Empire arrives to distribute food. Noah receives a portion and after tasting it, immediately realizes it is almost just hot water. On top of that, it is close to spoiling, which angers him. An old man tells him that they cannot complain, because in their situation, having something to eat is a luxury and they should simply be grateful. At that moment, another man arrives. Noah asks who he is, and Soy explains that he is Gar, an official from the area. Gar is clearly aware of the poor quality of the food and even mocks it openly. Seeing such a disgusting attitude, Noah confronts him and asks if he kept the money for himself. Yes, Noah shows real courage here. Gar shamelessly justifies himself, saying it is the minimum privilege he deserves for providing food. Thinking Noah is being mocked simply because he is a child, Noah tells him that enriching oneself with aid meant for disaster victims is a crime. Gar becomes irritated. Drawing his sword, he warns Noah that insulting him is the same as insulting Loen, the lord of those lands. As always, Noah feels disappointed by such cowardly behavior, praising the strong while oppressing the weak. He questions whether the man remembers that such actions carry the death penalty. These words are indirectly directed at the sword Leviathan, and at that moment, the blade rises at incredible speed and hovers above Noah's hand. Our protagonist quickly understands that the sword is angered by being compared to such a despicable person. Noah tells it that if it wants to change that, it should show its power now. He steps forward to face it directly. A violent vortex of water surrounds Noah. Just as he is about to be consumed by Leviathan's power, he withstands it. He stands his ground and declares that those who boast their power over the weak only prove that they fear someone stronger. If someone is born with great power, then that power should be used to help people. With those words, he successfully wields Leviathan and proclaims that this is the true privilege of the nobility. Now fully in control of the sword, Noah strikes down the corrupt official Goril in a single blow. Seeing what has happened, the remaining soldiers and accomplices shout for Noah to be captured. The young prince prepares to fight, and Leviathan, overflowing with rage, releases a massive attack that blasts a huge crater into the ground. Drawn by the chaos, more soldiers arrive. One of the accomplices begs them to punish the child who killed Geralt. However, when a soldier realizes who Noah is, he immediately kneels, introducing himself as the commander of the Knights of Doso and a subordinate of Prince Henry. He apologizes for the disrespect and quickly informs everyone present that Noah is the 13th Imperial Prince. At once, everyone bows before him, including the old man. Noah then gives an order to Lohen. He explains what happened and how that scoundrel stole the relief funds. He commands that the accomplices receive proper punishment and that the food be prepared again, this time properly cooked, thicker, and with larger portions. Upon hearing that they will finally receive decent food, the villagers cheer joyfully and shout Noah's name. At the same time, in his chambers, Albert receives the report that Noah has successfully dominated the sword Leviathan. Shocked, he remarks that the young Noah has proven to be more useful than he expected. After everything that happened in the village, Noah is summoned by his father. The emperor asks if everything written in the report is true. Understanding that this is a moment of judgment, Noah confirms the report. Surprisingly, his father thanks him instead. He states that thanks to Noah, the vultures were unable to exploit the flood victims, which could have turned into both a natural and human disaster. Because of Noah's actions, the empire was spared the cost of dealing with two catastrophes at once. Acknowledging his achievement, the emperor asks how Noah knew about the situation. Noah replies that it was purely by chance, as one of his servants came from that village and told him. The emperor accepts this explanation but also attributes it to the will of the gods, who allowed Noah to tame the water sword. Without further comment, the emperor changes the subject and says it has been a long time since he last checked Noah's power. With the help of a cleric, they display Noah's parameters and discover that his water affinity has now reached SSS rank. Seeing these astonishing values, the emperor entrusts Noah with continuing to protect the empire using his power. With the innocent smile of a child, Noah simply answers yes. We then move to the capital of the Myers Empire, the political center, the cultural heart of the nation, and the core of its economy. It is also known as the most prosperous city in the entire world. Here, Noah arrives on Riade Street. According to the attendants, a singer is performing promotions nearby, so he decides to take a look. Zoe accompanies him as well. It is mentioned that Zoe wanted to repay him for what he did for her village, so Noah gave her more work, noticing how much she had matured. Inside the venue, it is said that talented people are always needed, no matter how many there are. Candles are lit, and a young female singer appears on stage. Noah watches her closely and recalls that her name is Alice. He admits that she does not sing badly, though she still lacks technique. Even so, he can feel that she sings with her soul, which tells him she is a sincere and responsible girl. While she is singing, Noah notices an angry man entering the place, shouting at Alice and asking why she is wasting time there. The man approaches her aggressively, pushing aside anyone who tries to stop him. Together with 2 other thugs, he surrounds the red-haired girl, telling her that with what she earns here, she will never be able to pay her father's debt. Alice replies that singing is the only thing she knows how to do. The man grabs her by the clothes and tells her not to play dumb, saying that as a woman she knows another way to make money. The entire audience lowers their gaze, except for Noah. He draws the intruder's attention and steps down to confront them. He cites imperial law, Article 67, Section 2, which states that a child is not obligated to pay the debts of their parents. He further explains that forcing a daughter to repay her father's debt with her body is a crime. The man does not care and grabs Noah by the clothes, but the young prince pushes them away using magic. The thugs get up in pain and retreat, swearing revenge. Noah tells the owner that if that gang returns, they should be sent directly to him. At that moment, everyone realizes that the boy is an imperial prince. Noah then speaks to Alice, telling her that she sang very well. He asks how much she earns per month to live. Alice mentions her mother's medical expenses and stammers, unable to continue. Noah tells her that he will pay her 25 reins per month so she can sing in peace, and that once her singing improves, her salary will increase. Alice thanks him and Noah asks her to continue singing. Back at the palace, Evelyn welcomes Noah. She notices several men kneeling outside and recognizes them as moneylenders. Evelyn explains that they came to apologize, clearly having learned who Noah really is. Noah orders them to be driven away and told that they have no right to seek an audience with a prince whenever they want. At that moment, Henry arrives and says that receiving such people would lower the dignity of the royal family and the princes. Noah agrees but asks Henry to come inside. Once inside, Noah explains that he wants to protect the singer, and by making those people believe he is still furious, they will not dare approach her again. Henry is surprised by Noah's thinking at such a young age, noting that their brothers Frank and Gary, who are close in age to Noah, still behave like children. He adds that Gary especially lacks manners. Inside his thoughts, Noah reflects that although they are brothers, they do not share the same mother. Henry and Gary, being born of the same mother, naturally have a different bond. Henry then asks about the sword, having heard that Noah managed to dominate it. Noah says it was because the sword truly has a will of its own. Henry asks how Noah can carry it, since it is larger than him. Noah replies that it is not a problem. Raising his hand, he makes the sword appear. Henry, shocked, asks where he took it from. Noah casually says he had it hidden in his sleeve. He then shrinks the sword until it fits in the palm of his hand, explaining that Leviathan taught him how. Henry is left astonished. That sword had been kept as a national treasure for 200 years, with no records of such abilities. He praises Noah, saying this achievement deserves great respect, and tells him to fully understand its significance. That night, the same moneylenders are seen outside Noah's mansion again. One of them, bald and impatient, shouts for Noah to stop ignoring them and stop acting arrogant. His companions try to calm him down, but Noah simply releases a glance filled with power, causing all of them to collapse to the ground. Henry asks what Noah did. Noah explains that he only released a small amount of Leviathan's power to intimidate them. Henry acknowledges that Noah has now completely mastered the sword. Later, Noah arrives at the Riddoch banquet. Upon entering, he notices that people were eagerly waiting for him. As he walks beside Reincarnation, whispers spread about how young he is, while others praise his handsome appearance. Someone asks what Noah is carrying at his waist. Noah explains that it is Leviathan, a gift from the crown prince. Hearing this, everyone is shocked, as it is a national treasure. One guest mutters that it must be a fake. Noah hears this comment and turns to glare at him. At the same time, Leviathan releases a dark miasma that affects everyone nearby. Noah quickly calms the sword, noting that while its loyalty is impressive, this reaction went too far. Seeing this display of power, Reborn applauds the young protagonist, as everyone has now witnessed how he can control the overwhelming power of a national treasure. All the guests agree, stating that he has truly mastered a national treasure, while another even thanks Noah for saving them. Reborn then asks what should be done with the man lying on the ground. Noah replies that he should be left alone, since he no longer belongs in that place. With that, the party continues. Several nobles approach Noah to introduce themselves. Among them is Byron Allen, the man in charge of managing the guild. He introduces his daughter, Cindy Allen. Noah asks whether she is adopted. Byron is shocked that he could tell. Noah explains that it is obvious at a glance. Byron carries the bearing of someone born into nobility, likely second or third generation, while the girl does not. He also notices that she was originally a slave. Byron is astonished that Noah figured this out just by looking at her. In his mind, Noah notes that this is because of her gaze. When she was startled, she immediately became alert, a trait common among slaves. Byron reveals that he did acquire her as a slave, but she is very intelligent, so he adopted her and is teaching her many things. Noah approves of this and tells Byron that one day he will invite him to his house to hear more about her. With that, Byron takes his leave. Noah recognizes that Byron also knows when to withdraw, while other guests murmur enviously, wishing they were in his position. Noah does not mention to Raydog that there is another reason he knew Cindy was not Byron's biological daughter. When Noah touches his sword to release intimidation, Cindy immediately reacts and positions herself to protect Byron. She tells Radig that since the first wave of intimidation, she has been guarding Byron, something unusual for someone her age. Radig praises Noah for his keen perception, especially considering how young he is, certainly not a 40-year-old man reincarnated in the body of a child. The next day, Noah walks through the merchant district when he encounters Oscar, the 8th Imperial Prince. Oscar stops his carriage to greet him and asks what he is doing there. Noah replies that he is simply taking a walk, which surprises Oscar since Noah could easily travel by carriage. Seeing that Noah is free, Oscar invites him to join in searching for a treasure. They head to Cobalt Street. Oscar asks if Noah has been there before. Noah answers that he has only heard of it. It is said that all kinds of antiques can be found there, though many are fakes. Oscar comments that nobles enjoy the challenge of finding the real treasures. They browse various items, including ornaments and books. After searching, Oscar admits he did not find anything worthwhile until Noah notices a blue book and buys it. Oscar asks if Noah found a treasure, but Noah replies that he did not. He simply found the book interesting. Upon closer inspection, Oscar realizes that it is the original grimoire of Andrea, the legendary great mage. In other words, a true treasure. Depending on its contents, it should be worth no less than 1,000 reins. Yet Noah bought it for only 3 reins. Oscar asks how Noah knew it was valuable. Noah says he did not know, though in his thoughts he reveals that when he touched it, his wind magic received a bonus, which is why he bought it. What Noah does not immediately realize is that his power only receives bonuses from things that possess their own will, making it strange for a book to have such an effect. Because of this, his sword begins to react, sensing danger nearby. Noah quickly draws his sword and points it at the book. Oscar does not understand what he is doing until the book releases a dark energy. Noah drops it, and the book opens on the ground, flipping its pages until it stops at a magical symbol. From it, an immense dark energy erupts, and red eyes appear. Oscar wonders if it is a cursed grimoire containing the soul of the mage himself, the vengeful spirit of the great wind mage. He tells Noah to run. However, Noah does not retreat. With a single swing of his sword, he destroys the spirit. Everyone is left in shock, and Noah notices that the wind bonus disappears. Noah asks Oscar if he is all right. Oscar says he is fine, but worries about whether the city was damaged. Noah replies that he aimed the attack upward, so everything is safe. Oscar is once again impressed by his younger brother's intelligence, realizing that Noah made that decision instantly. At that moment, a man approaches and drops to his knees. He introduces himself as Alan Barsley, the owner of an antique shop on that street. After seeing what the prince did, he says he has an item he would like to show him. Noah asks if it is a treasure, but the man replies that it is not exactly that. They are then shown inside Alan's shop. He presents a legendary ring that only reveals its true form to its rightful owner. Until now, he has shown it to many people, but it has never reacted to anyone. He also explains that he has thrown it out onto the street many times, thinking it was just junk, yet it always returned to his shop. Because of this, there is no doubt that it is special. Oscar finds this interesting and tells Noah to try it. Noah puts on the ring, and it immediately begins to glow. At the same time, he hears a voice in his head saying, "Level limit verified, SSS rarity. New owner recognized." In that moment, the ring activates a shield, surrounding Noah with a very powerful armor. Noah wonders if it truly counts as armor. When he checks his parameters, he sees that nothing has changed, so he assumes it works differently from Grip Morio and Leviathan. He senses that it has multiple functions. He tells Mr. First Apartment, Alan, that he will take it and pay later, but Oscar offers to pay for it, saying he wants to give it to Noah as a gift. Later, while heading home, Noah is saying goodbye to Oscar when the same bald man from before suddenly appears and tries to attack him with a sword. Soy steps in to protect Noah, but Noah does not move aside. Using the ring, he creates a shield that blocks the attack. Immediately after, the carriage driver rams into the man and slams him to the ground. Oscar asks what that was about. Noah explains that he linked the ring to Leviathan, and it seems to have acted as an automatic defense when it sensed hostility. Oscar is amazed that Noah has already mastered the ring in such a short time and calls it incredible. That afternoon, Noah and Soy are watching the same girl as before, singing. Suddenly, a drunk climbs onto the stage to harass her. Another man also climbs up, demanding that the drunk leave because he claims he saw her first. The two men start fighting, but Noah steps in. He blocks their attacks with his shield and neutralizes them by releasing an electric shock. Both men run away. The people recognize Noah. The owner of the establishment apologizes for what happened. Noah tells him not to stop letting people into the place, but the embarrassed owner explains that those kinds of customers are what keep his business running. Hearing this, Noah says he will buy the place's services. He asks Soy to bring the money and hands over 1,000 rines, which the owner accepts with deep gratitude. The singer also approaches Noah to thank him for protecting her. She says she does not know how to repay him, but Noah tells her to keep singing because he wants to hear her voice. He adds that if possible, he wants the king to hear her someday, so she must continue improving. The girl sheds tears and promises to do her best. Noah and Soy then stay and listen as the red-haired girl continues singing. Hearing her beautiful voice, Noah confirms that he was not mistaken. She truly is a real treasure. The next day, Noah is being prepared by his maids for the visit of the governor of Ui, Dedmal, the most successful man in that domain. It is explained that in the imperial family, it is customary to grant fiefs to princes so they can govern them. The people revere their prince as their one and only legitimate lord. Dedmarl, who was born in Armelia, is no exception. Ded shows respect to Noah, but the boy asks him to take a seat. This is their second meeting after a year and a half. When Noah was appointed governor, he placed Ded in charge of managing the waters of Ui. Noah asks how the territory is doing, but notices that Ded does not answer right away. He deduces that things are not going well. Ui is described as a grain-producing region located at a bend in a large river, which sometimes suffers from floods. The plan was to stabilize the water flow. Noah asks Ded what the problem is. With some bitterness, Ded replies that they still have not received the budget. Noah finds this impossible, since it was an imperial decree. Ded interrupts and explains that the Ministry of Finance keeps putting obstacles in their way. After hearing this, Noah asks Ded to follow him. They go to see the Minister of Finance, Maverick, who is eating comfortably. Without wasting time, Noah brings up the withheld budget for the waters of Ui. Maverick claims he has a good reason, but Noah cuts him off, warning that if his answer is that Noah would not understand, he should stay silent. Even though he is just a child, Noah's presence is overwhelming. Under pressure, Maverick explains that because of the flood in Oi last year, His Majesty did not collect taxes from the people for 1 year, and now the ministry is trying to reclaim those savings, using the word savings sarcastically. Noah asks if Maverick is taking him for a fool. Allowing the people to skip taxes was reasonable because there was nothing to collect. It was simply a noble gesture. Yet Maverick speaks as if that money actually existed. Noah asks again if he thinks he is stupid. Maverick hurriedly denies it and claims that the money is currently unavailable. Growing nervous, he quickly makes another excuse, saying they are building His Majesty's summer residence. Because they want it to be a palace with surrounding towns, they need the funds for that project. However, Noah knows this is nothing more than an excuse and also an insult to the Emperor. He immediately confronts Maverick for denying flood relief funds in order to build a palace, asking if he is trying to make his father look like a foolish emperor. He then intimidates him by asking whether he would like Noah to speak about this directly with the emperor. Maverick drops to his knees and apologizes. Noah then demands that the money be released immediately. Maverick orders his subordinates to do so at once. Ded witnesses everything and remains stunned by how Noah subdued the minister without hesitation. Feeling ashamed for relying on Noah's status as a prince, Ded expresses his deep admiration and vows to return to Uwi to properly deal with the floods. Outside, a knight arrives and informs Noah that His Majesty wishes to see him immediately. Noah presents himself before the king, who tells him to drop the formalities. The king begins by congratulating him on the situation in Uwi, mentioning that he heard Noah handled Maverick firmly. Noah is surprised that the news reached him so quickly. The king explains that information is a weapon, and Noah must get used to keeping it sharp at all times. Noah replies that he simply did his duty. The king warns him that such a duty is not easy to fulfill. Many people are liars, others rely on flattery, and very few can carry out their responsibilities naturally. He approaches Noah, pats his head, and tells him that he is impressive despite being only 6 years old. He then tells him to stand. The king asks if the sword he carries is Leviathan, noting that it looks smaller now. As the king observes it, Noah realizes that even his own household is part of the Empire's intelligence network. The king acknowledges Noah's power for being able to control that sword. Noah remembers the moment when Leviathan nearly massacred everyone before he managed to stop it. The king tells Noah that he must learn to control the sword properly as soon as possible, which is why he summoned an instructor. This introduces Damian, a noble and the Empire's greatest swordmaster. The king states that no one surpasses Damian and orders Noah to train seriously. Damian asks for permission to spar with Noah, clarifying that it is not to judge his technique but his potential. The king agrees. Noah immediately draws Leviathan, which begins to stir. Understanding its intent, Noah launches his attack. Damian blocks it with ease. Noah retreats briefly, and during that moment, Leviathan shows him the memories of its former wielders, allowing him to understand that they were formidable warriors. Noah attacks again, and with a swift sword movement, he disarms Damian. After this, Damian apologizes to the king, stating that there is nothing he can teach Prince Noah. Although Noah has the physical strength and speed of a child, he disarmed him through pure technique, proving that he already wields the sword like a master. Teaching him further would be an insult. Hearing this, the king laughs heartily and calls Noah incredible. He then entrusts Noah with overseeing this year's knight selection. Noah does not question the decision and promises to fulfill his duty. It is then explained that the knight selection is a major annual event throughout the Empire. Traditionally, warriors are valued above all else. It is said that the path of the warrior is the only way to rise in social status. During this event, fighters from different regions battle to the death in the capital, and those who emerge victorious earn the title of knight and join the upper class. Noah reveals that a knight's first mission is to serve under their examiner. Therefore, if he recruits an exceptional knight as his subordinate, his own power will increase. The king asks what method he plans to use. Damian mentions 2 possible formats, a free-for-all or single elimination. Noah ignores the options and makes one request: to abolish regional preliminaries and hold the entire selection in the capital, with all participants fighting directly before him. The king asks why. Noah explains that the empire is vast, and he cannot oversee what happens in regional trials. It would be a great loss if exceptional talent were eliminated for a trivial reason. The king approves the plan, saying he trusts Noah's judgment. Later, back at the palace, Noah asks Soy if there are any candidates from her village for the knight selection. She confirms that there are, explaining that for people like them, this is the only chance to rise in status. For this reason, each year the village presents a single candidate. Here, Noah explains his plan to remove the regional eliminations, so villages can send as many candidates as they want to the capital. Soy says this is fine, but she seems hesitant. Noah asks what is wrong. Soy replies that it is only a small concern. In her village, they normally send only one applicant, because travel and lodging are extremely expensive. The villagers collect money together, and it barely covers the cost for one person. Because of this, every candidate carries the expectations of the entire village and takes the selection very seriously. Hearing this, Noah makes a decision. Since he wants many candidates and does not want talent to be lost for such reasons, he will pay for the travel and lodging expenses. This would make the villagers very happy, but Soy points out that doing so would cost a fortune. However, Noah proves that he is not only a ruler, businessman, and visionary, but also extremely efficient with money. Instead of building new housing, he calls Dylan and orders him to investigate how many empty houses exist in the capital and purchase them. If that is still not enough, they will construct a dormitory. They will also need food, so he instructs Dylan to contact trusted merchants. Meanwhile, Noah will go into the city, leaving Soy deeply impressed by how incredible her lord is. After this, Noah meets with Byron. Byron presents the budget for the night selection, an absurdly high amount that is not shown. Noah tells him that such a budget would completely ruin him. However, Byron is not worried, because this is a direct request from the third prince. Noah understands that Byron must want something in return, since no merchant would lose that much money out of goodwill. He directly asks Byron what he wants in exchange. Byron admires Noah's sharp insight for his age. He explains that alongside the night selection, the palace also holds an examination to recruit personnel, and he asks what type of candidates usually pass. Noah quickly understands Byron's intention. In his mind, Noah concludes that Byron wants to place a woman inside the palace. Having someone loyal inside would grant fast access to information, and if the emperor were to take her as a mistress or consort, Byron's gains would be enormous. Byron, slightly nervous, clarifies that this matter is separate from the current request, and mentions that he has already sent a gift to Noah's residence as a sign of goodwill. Noah understands this as an advance payment and internally praises Byron's cleverness. He agrees, but only on one condition. The woman must be someone Noah personally finds interesting, so he can also intervene on her behalf. Byron agrees and promises to find a suitable young woman. In addition, he asks permission to include his family crest in the business, stating that Noah has proven to be the best possible ally. Noah accepts Byron as his subordinate, but clearly warns him that betrayal will not be tolerated. Inside the carriage, Noah reflects that gaining Byron as a subordinate has strengthened his position. At that moment, rain begins to fall. Noah notices that his SS water affinity has dropped by 1 rank and suspects that something has happened in Armelia. He immediately instructs Soy to head to the palace to see His Majesty. When they meet the Emperor, Noah states that something unusual is happening in Armelia. The Emperor admits that he also sensed it through various signs. Shortly after, a subordinate arrives and reports that a rebellion has broken out in Armelia. With this information, the Emperor asks Noah how serious he believes the situation is. Noah thinks to himself that even though his water affinity dropped to rank S, this only represents a fraction of his true power. Based on this, he concludes and tells the Emperor that the rebellion is small in scale. The Emperor confirms this, as reports estimate around 5,000 people are involved. He then asks Noah if he would like to go and suppress the rebellion in his territory. Noah replies that it would be impossible. He is still a child, has no battlefield experience, and cannot be sure that soldiers would follow his commands. Therefore, if a prince must be sent, he suggests choosing one of his older brothers instead. The Emperor is surprised that Noah declines the mission, but accepts his reasoning and asks whom he recommends. Without hesitation, Noah names Henry. When asked why, Noah explains that given the scale of the rebellion, a direct frontal assault would be the most effective strategy, and Henry specializes in that approach. He adds that Henry is the most cautious among his brothers. The Emperor agrees with Noah's sound judgment and orders Henry to be summoned. As a result, Henry arrives in his carriage. Yes, the Superman everyone knows, but since this is not his universe, we only have Henry Ararat. We see him traveling together with our protagonist toward the destination. Henry asks if he truly plans to let this opportunity pass. He reminds him that the Empire is a nation of warriors and that accumulating military merit would open many doors. Noah justifies himself by saying that everything happened too suddenly and that he is not prepared. Even if he survived, many soldiers would likely die in vain. Henry acknowledges his cautious attitude, admitting that he himself is also very careful. Suddenly, Noah senses Leviathan reacting. He immediately orders the carriage to stop. Henry asks what is happening. Noah explains that Leviathan has reacted, and in his thoughts he realizes this means the target is actually him. Refusing to involve his brother, Noah quickly jumps out of the carriage. At the same time, several water magic circles appear on the ground and try to capture him. Assassins surround Noah, but he breaks free using his shields. One of the assassins orders the others to kill him. They rush in, but without using Leviathan, Noah defeats them all with a single strike. After the enemies are dealt with, Henry approaches to inspect the bodies. He mentions that according to reports, the rebels were supposed to be cavalry soldiers, but he never expected them to have assassins like these. He regrets that they cannot interrogate them. Noah reassures him, revealing that he did not kill them. After knocking them down, he left them unconscious using Leviathan's intimidation. He then asks Henry to take care of them. Noah also asks if Henry said they were cavalry soldiers, recalling that Armelia barely produces military horses. Henry confirms this, which gives Noah an idea. The next day, Noah calls Byron and asks if he trades near Armelia. Byron confirms this. Before continuing, Noah warns him that if anything discussed in this room leaks out, he will be executed. Byron accepts. Noah then explains that a rebellion has broken out in Armelia and that their main force consists of cavalry. Showing him a case, Noah says he has 10,000 rhines and orders Byron to buy all the horse feed available. Byron agrees but asks about food for the soldiers. Noah tells him to forget about that. He explains that Armelia has no grain industry, and according to his brother Henry, the rebels must have bought their horses from abroad. There is also a limit to how much feed they can steal from villagers. Byron understands immediately. If food is not supplied to the soldiers, looting will begin. Noah silently confirms this with his gaze. Byron recognizes Noah's boldness and praises him, saying he is extremely brilliant. He then leaves, promising to begin at once. Once alone, Noah reflects that this will make the battle easier for his brother. Yes, our little protagonist truly is the best younger brother. The next day, Noah stands before the king. His Majesty tells him that they managed to make last night's assassins confess, and they revealed that the rebels planned to kidnap Noah and use him as bargaining leverage. Noah does not question the credibility of this information, since it was revealed too easily. The king acknowledges Noah's sharp mind, but tells him not to worry as he has methods to determine whether they are telling the truth. Aside from that, he feels relieved as a father, because his son was not captured. Otherwise, the empire would have faced a serious dilemma. The king then brings up the forage strategy, which surprises Noah. The fact that the king already knows about it, even though it was ordered only moments ago, leaves Noah astonished. The king explains that, unlike Noah's decision, most people would have thought of a strategy to completely cut off the enemy's food supply so they would starve. In fact, Prince Albert even suggested letting the rebels starve as punishment. However, that plan failed to consider that the rebels would simply loot the villagers. Noah, instead, only cut off the horses' feed. Recognizing this action, the king declares it worthy of admiration. Noah does not respond with thanks. The king then considers that he should reward him. After some thought, he tells Noah that he will authorize him to add a sword to his coat of arms. This leaves our protagonist stunned. It is explained that the empire is a nation of warriors, and using a sword symbol on a coat of arms without the emperor's permission is a serious crime that can even result in the death penalty. On the other hand, if the king grants permission, it is one of the highest honors the emperor can bestow. With this decision, His Majesty orders crews to issue an official decree. Later, Noah meets with Byron. Byron informs him that forage suitable for transport is quite scarce, but because he knows the delivery routes well, it was not difficult for him to handle it. He also has information about Kaf, the leader of the rebels. Apparently, Kaf is a very resentful man who will do anything to achieve his goal. Byron asks Noah to be careful, even if the man may seem foolish. At that moment, a maid interrupts them and informs Noah that a badly injured man has arrived at the entrance, claiming to have an urgent report. Noah immediately goes to meet him. The man introduces himself as the captain of a squad from the Adora district in Armelia. He warns Noah about a revolt in Armelia, explaining that he deserted his post because he could no longer support his superior and came to deliver this information. Noah acknowledges the report, even though it is clear that he already knew. Likewise, Noah gives orders for the knight's wounds to be treated and rewards him with 1,000 rhines. This confuses Byron, who later asks him in private why he did it, since that information was no longer useful. Noah admits that Byron is right, but explains that the man still risked his life to deliver the warning, and that alone deserves a reward. Byron agrees. Later, while Noah is in his office reading a book, Soy enters and suddenly collapses to the floor. Noah approaches and asks what is wrong. She shows him a pouch containing 500 rhines and reveals that a stranger gave it to her. The man told her she would receive this reward if she made Noah drink a bottle of sleeping potion. Noah assumes that she was supposed to slip it into his drink to make him pass out, Knowing that the rebels are behind this, he asks Soy why she brought it to him. She answers that she did not want to betray him. She thanks him for the help he gave her mother and her village, but tearfully confesses that the stranger threatened to kill her if she refused. Still, unable to betray Noah, she brought both the money and the potion to him. Noah understands the situation and writes a note. He then gives Soy a reward. Since those men tried to buy her betrayal for 500 reins, he, as her lord, adds a 0 to that number, not to the left, but to the right, thus greatly increasing the reward for her loyalty. Soy says she cannot accept it, but Noah insists that she keep it. She thanks him through tears for his generosity. However, Noah now asks Soy to do something for him. He tells her that he will drink the potion and asks her to hand him over once he becomes unconscious. Even though Soy refuses at first, she eventually agrees. After that, Noah orders her to hide, since those men might try to silence her. Soy hesitates and asks what he plans to do. The next moment, Noah awakens in a strange place. He hears bandits discussing whether to stab him with a very unusual short sword, but they decide not to, since Lord Kafun told them to use it only as a last resort. After hearing this, Noah calmly analyzes the situation. He realizes that his hands and feet are tied, so he takes out a small blade he had hidden in his ear. Since they also failed to remove his ring, he uses the blade to cut the ropes. He then notices that he is in the back of a carriage. First, he asks Leviathan to show him its memories. He sees that after the sleeping potion took effect, the bandits entered and tied him up. Soy managed to escape in time, and they did not chase her to avoid being seen by the guards. They then loaded Noah onto the carriage and took him away. With this information, Noah fully understands the situation and confronts the bandits. They are camping casually nearby. One bandit asks who the idiot was that tied him up so poorly. Without fear, they approach Noah and ask if he wants to fight, reminding him that last time his brother saved him, but now he is completely alone. Noah responds by silencing the speaker with a single strike. The others are shocked. He tells them that they are a waste of time. He allowed himself to be kidnapped because he expected valuable information, but they are nothing more than pawns. Enraged, the bandits draw their swords and attack him. Noah shows no restraint and defeats them one by one, killing them all. At that moment, Soy arrives with the guards. Noah asks why she came, reminding her that he told her to hide. Soy says she was worried about him and came just in case, but now she is astonished that he resolved everything on his own. Noah orders the knight in charge to deal with the bandits as they are accomplices of the previous attackers. As the soldier lifts one of the bodies, a sword falls to the ground. He is about to pick it up, but Noah stops him and orders everyone to step back. Through Leviathan, Noah can see cursed miasma leaking from inside the sword. He immediately recognizes it as a cursed sword, one in which the hatred of its creator still remains inside. Everyone watches closely, waiting to see what Noah will do. He speaks to Leviathan, asking if it can do something about it. The sword confirms that it can, releasing a glow and expelling all the dark miasma it absorbed toward a distant location. The miasma pierces through the clouds, flies across the sky, and even reaches outer space. In just a few seconds, it arrives at its destination. It pierces straight through the forehead of the man who forged the sword, the leader of the rebels. Just like that, Lord Kafun is killed. The next day, Noah meets with the king. Once again, the king praises him for his actions and asks if he used his sword to accomplish that feat. Noah confirms it, explaining that he used the hatred inside that cursed sword as a signal and aimed at its owner with a long-range strike from Leviathan. After his death, the rebellion in Armelia was immediately crushed by Henry, bringing the entire conflict to an end. Later, Noah appears in a formal audience with the king and the nobles of the kingdom to discuss the punishment of those involved in the rebellion. Carried away by anger, the king orders oxen and horses to be prepared, declaring that he will have all of them torn apart. The nobles praise his decision. However, Noah strongly disagrees. The entire hall falls silent. The king demands an explanation. Noah argues that punishment must follow the law. According to imperial law, the leader is to be executed, and relatives and accomplices are to be punished as well. The remaining participants are to be beheaded according to their level of involvement. He also clarifies that while the word dismember is commonly used as an expression, it does not exist in imperial law. The king argues that they stained his honor, but Noah calmly responds that if the emperor himself violates the law, public order will collapse. He respectfully asks the king to reconsider. After hearing his reasoning, the king acknowledges his mistake and thanks Noah for correcting him. The audience is astonished. Still, the king declares that a lenient punishment would not satisfy him, so he will apply the maximum legal penalty without any possibility of reduction. He asks Noah if he agrees, and the boy replies that he has no objection. The king then places the matter in the hands of the prime minister. The nobles remain stunned by Noah's courage to correct the emperor himself, especially considering that he is only a child and showed no fear at all. They begin calling him a genius sent by heaven, a true prodigy. The king rises and thanks Noah for preventing him from staining his own name. He announces that he will grant Noah a reward by bestowing upon him a title. Although any of his children could have given advice, possessing true judgment is a rare virtue. To let the entire world know of Noah's wisdom, the king grants him the title of sage. The title leaves everyone in awe. Noah tells his father that it is a great honor to receive it. The king remarks that he wishes Noah had been born a few years earlier, but the crowd continues praising the sage prince and ignores the king's final comment. They wish Noah a long life. The king then asks if Noah has already chosen the methods he will use for the upcoming selection. Noah replies that he already has something in mind and will show it at another time. Later, Noah is seen calmly drinking tea, surrounded by 4 attendants holding buckets of water. The king stands before him. Noah then asks him to throw water at him. Immediately, his ring activates and covers his body, so not a single drop touches him. Noah explains his method for the selection. He will allow the candidates to attack him and judge them based on how much they impress him. The king says he expected nothing less from him. With this method, Noah will not exhaust himself too much and will be able to endure the entire selection. However, there is also the risk that someone might break through his defense, but Noah is willing to take that risk. He also reveals that he is prepared in case a very powerful opponent appears. This surprises the king, but he smiles proudly at his son's courage to accept the consequences, seeing it as fitting for a wise prince. Later, the king is seen speaking with the prime minister. The minister brings up the moment when the king said, "I wish you had been born a few years earlier," the same comment that everyone else ignored. He asks whether the king thinks he went too far. The king simply smiles and says that there is nothing wrong with his son advising him directly and defeating the enemy without ever stepping onto the battlefield, even though he admits it is something unprecedented. He also adds that, just as he suspected, Noah's sword possesses terrifying power. He then calls for the aid crews and orders him to bring it. The king explains that according to legend, the true seal of Leviathan must never be broken, but he believes that perhaps Noah is capable of doing it. Yes, the king has great faith in him.